The following program is brought to you by the Internet Broadcasting Organization.
Once you know these facts, again, it's THC, truth, history, consciousness. Once you know these facts, and if you don't support weed, and once you present these facts to someone and they don't support weed, you know, in fact, that you're talking to a fucking idiot. Check this stuff out. Mankind saw by the light of the hemp seed oil lamp longer than any point in illumined history. That statement right there is pretty powerful. So let's just stay there for a moment, because you don't hear people talking about that. I say that. Captain Cannabis is bringing you this information. So basically, since people have been on the planet lighting things on fire, they've been lighting hemp on fire, and they've been lighting weed on fire. So to not be able to do that when I want, when that's what helped us survive and compete and thrive, and the fact that we're not using it in America, the nation literally created and founded, and our progenitors got here because of hemp, and we're not able to grow it, that is the greatest conspiracy. There is nothing more evil than that. That is just straight up fucked up. Hey, we are live. Thank you for tuning in to the Captain Cannabis Show broadcast from TalkWadStudios.com every Sunday at 4:20. And we got a brand new one for you people, so let's get it started. Oh yeah. We got three big, fat, juicy what's happening in the news headlines for you. Let's get the what's happening in the news logo up while I run through these headlines real quick. Before I do that, in case you didn't notice from that little promo piece that just rolled, the Captain Cannabis Show is a 18 and up adult-themed show where I, your host, Captain Cannabis, talk about all things hemp and cannabis related. So if you're under 18, pop off. If you're 18, tune in. Make sure you share the link, talkwadstudios.com/Captain Cannabis. Let your friends know on Facebook about the Captain Cannabis Show. Please like and subscribe and share my videos on YouTube, and you can find me by simply searching the Captain Cannabis Show. I'm all over it like fur in a pimp's hat. So, what are the headlines for what's happening in the news for today, Sunday, May 18th? Number one, DEA will issue import permit and release hemp seeds bound for Kentucky fields. Number two, girl at Center of Light to legalize cannabis oil dies at age 7, waiting for her right to self-medicate with the plant. Number three, anti-medical marijuana group debuts website and video to scare ignorant Florida voters into voting no on 2. And sadly, many stupid, lazy Florida citizens won't fact-check or do any research to the contrary. But that's okay. With your help, we can get the THC, or truth, history, consciousness, out there. All right, first headline. DEA will issue import permit and release hemp seeds. Now, this article is by Janet Patton, and it appeared on Kentucky.com. www.kentucky.com. I love Kentucky. I got friends and family from there, and Kentucky plays a very important role in hemp history and U.S. history, because at one point in time, the state of Kentucky was the global leader in hemp production. And this was a long time ago, close to 100 years ago. But when we needed it most, Kentucky was there to grow the hemp. And when we needed it most was World War II or World War I and World War II. And that's when our government created a propaganda film. And unlike most government propaganda films, this particular video, you can see, go to YouTube and search Hemp for Victory. This video was discovered by Jack Herrera, and it was a government film in which they encouraged American farmers like our brothers and sisters in Kentucky to grow hemp, because without it, we would have never been able to fight in World War II, and our friends fighting in other wars would have suffered the consequences as well. But back in the day, hemp was used in so many things, and without it as a raw product material, we would have all suffered. But we'll get into that deeper. But here's the headline. Here's what's going on. After a day of back and forth wrangling with Washington, the Kentucky Department of Agriculture will finally get its hemp seeds. The Agricultural Commissioner, James Cormer, said late Tuesday that the Federal Drug Enforcement Administration has finally agreed to issue an import permit to the Agricultural Department, and by the end of the week release 250 pounds of Italian hemp seeds being held by the U.S. Customs Service in Louisville. So Comer said, "It looks like we've won this round. The DEA completely reversed course from this morning. I think we just needed to get their attention." Imagine that, a government bureaucratic firm flip-flopping. A call to the DEA was referred to the Justice Department, which did not immediately respond to an inquiry for comment. Cormer's office had threatened to go to federal court Wednesday to seek an injunction to get the seeds. Now it looks like that won't be necessary if the DEA follows through, said Cormer's chief of staff, Holly Harris von Lorette. They're now looking at the law, saying a simple import permit is required and only KDA will have to get one, she said. KDA meaning the Kentucky Department of Agriculture. At one point during the day's discussions, she said the DEA had indicated that multiple entries might have to be permitted, or that only the Agricultural Department could grow hemp. The department and 7 universities across the state are planning to plant hemp for research projects this year. To do that, the seeds need to be in the ground by June 1st. This would be the first time in decades that hemp, which was once a top Kentucky crop, is cultivated in the state. Cormer continues, "We are negotiating in good faith. It doesn't sound like this process is unduly burdensome or that we wouldn't get our seed. To us, the issue has always been getting the seed in a timely fashion. We just want the project to move forward." The research projects are permitted under the federal farm bill that Congress passed earlier this year. This law allows state departments of agriculture to grow hemp for research. The language clearly distinguishes hemp from marijuana, a related plant that contains a high-inducing compound known as THC. Some hemp seeds that the state already has will be planted Friday at a research project in Mount Vernon. There, a group of Kentucky veteran farmers called Growing Warriors will grow test plots in conjunction with Kentucky State University. 6 other projects, however, are in jeopardy if enough seed cannot be obtained in time. So to break it down, our government passed a farm bill, and in that farm bill, they detailed that state departments of agriculture, in conjunction with universities that have a agricultural history, will be allowed to grow hemp for research purposes. Kentucky, in accordance with the law, a state that at one point in time was the world's producer in hemp crop yields, simply went out, got their seeds legally in accordance with the new law, and the DEA tried to stop them. And the reason why this is so important is, number one, it's a seed with it's organic. There's no pesticides or things used to protect the seed. So 250 pounds doesn't seem like a lot, but hemp seeds are very tiny. That's a tremendous amount of hemp seed, and just a little bit of mold and mildew could ruin that crop. And if these seeds weren't put in the ground during the crop cycle, if they weren't put in the ground early enough, they would be wasted. And the reality is that the seeds available from America, from our government, are already spoken for. They're already allocated. They're already sent to many states that are growing hemp. There's a scarcity problem with hemp seeds now. So, in summary, this ties into the fact that there is a demand for hemp seed and hemp seed products. And most of the money is going to Canada, China, and Italy out of the U.S. If the U.S. was once again allowed to grow hemp and produce products and profits from it in its own backyard, the profits could help create new jobs, end trade deficits, and eliminate our debt to predatory banks and the Federal Reserve. So basically, if you want new jobs in America, want to end the trade deficit, and want to help us climb out of the sewer of debt heaped upon us daily by the Federal Reserve, please wake the funk up and vote for hemp. So that's the reality. Topic number one, another victory for hemp farmers in America. Thank you for Congress doing the right thing for farmers, and this farm bill being passed is a good thing for America. It has nothing to do with cannabis that contains THC. It's only for hemp. But the reality is hemp can produce a myriad of products, create a lot of jobs, create a lot of industry that we need in America. All right. This one upsets me. This is very sad. A young girl at center of fight to legalize cannabis oil dies at age 7. Lydia, who died in her sleep on Mother's Day, never got a chance to try the treatment because the law's implementation was being worked out. So basically, this is so sad. This article is by Ariana Cha of the Washington Post. Lydia Schaefer, the 7-year-old girl with a rare genetic disorder whose plight inspired lawmakers in Wisconsin to legalize a marijuana extract to treat her condition, despite their opposition to medical marijuana, has died. So, God bless you to the Schaefer family. Rest in peace, this innocent victim of the failed drug war against cannabis. Lydia's mother, Sally Schaefer, had been lobbying the state legislature to legalize the drug, an experimental extract from cannabis plants known as Charlotte's Web, for use on children with epileptic seizure disorders. The lawmakers moved to pass the law in record time, and Governor Scott Walker signed the bill into law in April. But Lydia died in her sleep on Mother's Day. Excuse me. She never got a chance to try the treatment because the law's implementation was still being worked out. So here's an innocent child, 7 years old, taken from her family, and they recently discovered that a THC-free extract of the plant can stop this rare form of epilepsy with these traumatic seizures, stop it in its tracks. And it's very affordable to grow and produce the plant, and it's very affordable to extract the CBD from this particular strain of cannabis, which is no threat to anyone. It cannot be smoked. It can only be ingested, and it treats this condition. And it could have saved this child's life. In her obituary, her parents said, Lydia taught them about patience, what it's like to be inspired, and most of all, we were blessed to witness miracles that otherwise we may have not been too busy to notice. In a column by Jim Stingel in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Lydia's mother says she wishes she could have done more to help her daughter live. But Stingel comments, I witnessed Sally Schaefer in her action, and I can tell you it's not for a lack of trying or the love of a mother for her child. So, in summary, the headline should state, cheesehead politicians complicit in the murder of a 7-year-old child for denying her swift, natural medical treatment. Now, let's put this in perspective. Many of you have heard of the 2-part documentary series Weed by Sanjay Gupta, where he met Charlotte Figi, a now 7-year-old girl who is alive in Colorado, where CBD oil is legal. The Schaefers lost their child because political bullcrap, political bureaucracy once again failed. The drug war once again failed. Prohibition cannabis once again failed, and the victim is an innocent child. In Colorado, Charlotte's Web, named in honor of Charlotte's Figi, is freely available to children with the exact same condition that took this child's life. Charlotte Figi is taking the CBD oil, and she is still alive. You see the difference? Charlotte takes cannabis medicine, and she is alive. Lydia Schaefer, who could not take cannabis medicine, is dead. So please, America, think about that for a moment. How many more children have to die before you realize you have been lied to? You have been deceived, and you have been sold out for the sake of big pharma and corrupt medical industry profits. I mean, is it not obvious every time you watch TV, you get a commercial for a medicine that has horrible side effects? Half of the commercial is for the side effects, and yet in nature there already exists a natural medicinal cure. So the number one most effective medical treatment for any condition is preventive medicine. I'm sure no matter how you feel about cannabis legalization, that's something we can all agree upon, and most doctors will tell you the best medicine is preventive medicine. Well, guess what? Hemp and cannabis are nature's perfect solution. They are nature's perfect in their naturally occurring form preventive medicine. Stress is a killer, and cannabis defeats stress. Heart disease is a killer, and hemp seed and hemp seed oil defeat heart disease with their essential fatty acids. Cancer is an epidemic killer, and cancer scientifically is proven to be defeated by cannabis. Laughter is a great medicine, and cannabis makes you laugh. In fact, everything's better when you're just a little high. Food tastes better when you are high. Getting high is the awakening of the spiritual self to the interconnected world, and smoking makes you thirsty, a reminder to drink. As most people are addicted to alcohol or sugar-filled toxic sodas and pop. So basically, if you want to live, eat, drink, breathe, and smoke cannabis. And vote to use both hemp and cannabis for a variety of job-creating, profit-making, clean, renewable, sustainable solutions that benefit not just Americans, but all of mankind. In other words, wake the funk up, America, because you are being lied to by guys like Mel Sembler, who recently started yet another Florida-based anti-cannabis super PAC, and this one is called VoteNo2.org. So, oh man, I hate this guy. This is the third segment for what's happening in the news. And if you're a Floridian, you really need to wake the funk up to this one. About a month ago, I was at a discussion, The Village Voice, in which a famous radio host had Dr. Turner, had Sheriff Bob Gugliardi of Pinellas County, and had the campaign manager for United for Care, Ben Pillara, all have an open debate They all talked about their pro and con reasons as to why legal medical cannabis should be allowed in Florida. Well, if you didn't gather from what's happening in the news, headline number 2 is that medical cannabis saves children's lives. But here's the skinny. Anti-medical marijuana group debut of website and video to scare people into voting no on 2. All right, you got a fancy modern website, and it's designed to really make a strong argument against cannabis. Unfortunately, is filled with lies, and I will break that down for you. All right, the first photo we want to share with you, you got to look at the fine print. All right, when you go to this website, the first thing I want you to look at is the footer. Look at the footer of the website where you clearly see it's a paid advertisement by a super PAC who gets money from the federal government to create not just America's, but the world's corrupt, ass-backwards, and failed drug laws. Yep. Mel Sembler, the Jewish banker and strip mall tycoon, simply can't loosen his grip on Florida and allow us to treat and heal ourselves naturally and compassionately. His organization gets federal money and puts your tax dollars, hundreds of millions of them, to work to create and disseminate propaganda like this website to keep their pocketbooks filled. So look at the fine print. By law, if you're a lawyer or if you're, for instance, running for judge in District 6 of Pinellas Pasco County, you have to state that your public communication is a paid advertisement, whether it's a TV commercial or a press release or an article or a website. So that's the first thing I want you to notice about their website, is that it is a paid advertisement for a political agenda. They have to state that by law. Now here's the hypocrisy. So let's show the photo that I called hypocrisy. So they simultaneously call themselves a grassroots movement while at the same time being a super PAC funded, hidden agenda, paid political advertisement. You can't be grassroots and be funded by a millionaire and his super PAC organization. So that's lie number 1, is it's a paid advertisement. If it's a paid advertisement, it's not a grassroots movement, people. Don't be fooled. All right, next photo is Ghost Town, because they have a fancy website. You know, the guy spent $100,000 to make the website. But here's the reality. Just like at that public discussion I was at a month ago where they did an internal poll and 75% of the people there vote yes on 2 and want legal medical cannabis available, the same is true. And here's where you see the reality. If you look at the snapshot of their Facebook page, like the other organization, Mel Sembler and his Republican Big Pharma Super PAC teams, they also fund Save Our Society from Drugs. The fancy website doesn't hide the fact that people are not buying it, even though the paid-off mainstream media is. Look at their Facebook page. It's a ghost town because no amount of money is available to brainwash and buy every sellout. So thankfully, this most likely won't gain momentum if you have the brain the size of a peanut in your head. But they got like 245 likes on Facebook. The other organization that Mel Sembler funds is called Save Our Society from Drugs. They're based out of St. Petersburg, Florida, and their Facebook page has been up for about 5 years, and they have less than 300 people. So thankfully, there's only about 500 people stupid enough to like and share disinformation that is anti-medical cannabis. So that's the reality, is nobody's buying it. Save your money, Mel. Go retire. Go fishing. Quit murdering children, okay? Let's be frank. All right, let's bring up the photo of this guy. So who is Mel Sembler? Well, according to Wikipedia, he made his money in banking, was an ambassador to Italy, and I think Jesuit order shadow government here. But it's stated that he is a member of the Reform Judaism religious organization and has spent millions of dollars changing the names of his straight incorporated related organizations in an effort to whitewash his ties to youth drug treatment centers that lost millions in class action lawsuits led by legal representatives of the children he took from families and assaulted and sexually assaulted over years across America. Yeah, that's right. Look it up. Good old Mel Sembler, who cares so much about protecting the children, in the 80s, created an organization now known as Straight Incorporated. He had to change the name of that organization. You can see this on Wikipedia. You can see documentaries on it. But this organization that Mel and his wife Betty started, if you're worried about your kid, abusing drugs, you could call this organization. And they had 16 chapters across America. And call them up, and they'd come take your kid from you and take them to a treatment or rehabilitation center. And basically what happened at these 16 facilities across America is hundreds of people sued them. So many sued and complained of the abusive treatment that they put together a class action lawsuit, and they lost on 22 counts. And Mel Sembler had to pay millions of dollars in punitive damages and restitution to these kids and family. Some of the kids died. Some of the kids are still suffering because the type of treatment they would use is the kind of stuff you saw in concentration camps, just beatings and torture and lies and forced religious propaganda down these kids' throats, who were all innocent victims of a manufactured drug war that scumbags like this profit from. Meanwhile, you got kids dying in Wisconsin because they can't use a THC-free version of cannabis. All right. Next photos we're going to roll are the Devil and Libby scandal. So it says on their website, when they're talking about Vote Yes on 2 and the initiative to legalize cannabis as medicine in Florida, they say the devil is in the details, and they try to spin and lie to you in your face. This law, this proposition to get legal medical cannabis in Florida has nothing whatsoever to do with recreational cannabis. Nowhere in the bill is that described. Nowhere in the bill is that written. Nowhere in the bill is that stated at all. So they're lying to you, America. They're lying to you, my brothers and sisters of Florida. So like it says on their website of lies and propaganda, the devil is in the details. Their argument is that this bill, which intelligent, informed Floridians will have an opportunity to vote yes on 2 on November 4th, is all about, well, they're saying it's all about legal pot smoking in Florida, and that is a bold-faced lie. The bill is clearly and expressly written to be about medical cannabis, not recreational, and in fact is the strictest. It is the strictest, the most strict. Let's try that again. It is in fact the strictest cannabis for medicine bill in all of the United States. So if you compare what is written, what is proposed to be voted on to go into law, if you compare what we wrote up in Florida versus what was passed in Colorado versus what was passed in the District of Columbia versus what is going through changes in California versus what was passed in Washington, Florida has written the strictest medical cannabis bill law in history of all 50 states. And almost half of the states of America have some type of legal cannabis, but in Florida, we're still fighting for it. We're still fighting for it. But the reality is that this is not about recreational cannabis in Florida. That is just an outright lie. Don't be fooled by this guy. So what other lies and cover-ups come up on a Google search for this scumbag? Well, he is a huge Republican campaign donor, and if you remember what the Bush Jr. administration, who has ties to pharmaceutical companies, passed in the 80s and 90s, well, it was Medicaid reform, which means your tax dollars go to give pain pills and hundreds of other drugs as medicines to the elderly. Sounds great on paper, but what it comes down to is profits and politics. Mel Sembler, like many Florida Republicans, has ties to the medical industry and doesn't want to lose millions if Floridians can treat disease with plants, not pills. What else did Mel Sembler try to whitewash in the news? Ah, yes, the Scooter Libby scandal, which was stated to be the biggest political sex scandal in history, even bigger than the Clinton-Lewinsky scandal. So this guy protects Scooter Libby And you can go to Wikipedia and see that the biggest sex scandal in U.S. political history, Mel Sembler created the trust fund to keep this scumbag out of jail. And he's the same guy lying to you, saying that what we're trying to pass in Florida to keep children alive and help those suffering is about smoking weed. It's just a lie. Don't believe this guy's lies. Look it up. Do the research for yourself. The dude's a scumbag. Let's bring up his photo for Reform Judaism and see if this guy practices what he preaches. According to Wikipedia, Reform Jewish movement, which seems to make Judaism modernized and compatible with the surrounding culture. Okay, you have, according to Wikipedia, this is what they say, is it's about making Judaism modern and progressive and changing it so that it is in sync with the cultural changes, because the religion hasn't changed, but the culture and the beliefs of society and the world have changed. So he's talking about being progressive and being about change within his religion. So let's see how Mel Sembler, who cares so much about the children that were sodomized and beaten to death under his Straight Inc. youth drug prevention centers, that he paid $22 million in settlements to the family suing him in a class action lawsuit, and had to change the name of the company and step out of politics and into the shadows to finance more right-wing agenda corporate profiteers. So he's all about progressive changes that reflect society in his religion. Let's look at his other history. Well, if he's Jewish and he's talking about progressive change, one thing that would be considered progressive change would be, I don't know, maybe changing the draconian cannabis laws, which are murdering children across America. Let's see how it lines up to what's going on in Israel regarding cannabis. Well, in Israel, the land of the Jews, you have, oh my gosh, you have the global leaders in cannabis research proving unarguably that cannabis is in fact medicine and is a gift from God to heal the people. So Professor Raphael Mehulam, I can't say his name, Mechoulam, that's how you say it. Professor Raphael Mechoulam has authored hundreds of scientific papers on cannabinoid research, as well as a book, Cannabinoids as Therapeutic Agents, which provided an early review of the research in this area. Dr. Mechoulam was president of the International Cannabinoid Research Society and has received numerous honors and awards for his outstanding contributions to the field. He is a member of the Israel Academy of Sciences, and among the numerous prizes that he has received for his work is the highest national scientific prize in Israel, the Israel Prize. So the Israel Prize is given to this professor, Raphael Mechoulam, who, what did this guy do? Well, number one thing that this Jew did is he discovered delta-9 THC, or delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol. The other thing that this Jew did, this progressive Jew, mind you, the other thing he did is he identified in the human body the endocannabinoid system. So Israel is leading in cannabis science, proving that it's medicine. And Mel Sembler, who's supposed to be a progressive Jew, for reforming the Jewish religion to be more progressive, is not in sync with his own religion, is not in sync with his own people, is not in sync with Israel. Why not? Because he's a liar, that's why. He's a scumbag. He cares about money and politics. He doesn't care about people. He doesn't care about Floridians. He doesn't care about children. If he cared about children, they wouldn't have died on his watch under his Straight Incorporated organization. In 1964, Dr. Mechoulam and colleague Dr. Yahil Gyayani were the first to identify and synthesize delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, the primary psychoactive compound in cannabis. Their discovery provided new insights into how the brain functions and opened the door to medical research, exploring not only the therapeutic potential of THC, marketed as Marinol in America, but other natural and synthetic cannabinoids as well. So you have a Jewish professor studying cannabis and brought to market the first ever legal medicinal cannabis extract. And then over here, you got another Jewish guy in Florida who says cannabis is a drug and we can't have it. Why? Because he can't make money off it. That's why. It's plain and simple America. Don't be fooled by this hypocrite. Okay, continuing. Dr. McCollum, along with pharmacologist Dr. Habib Edery and colleagues, went on to isolate and elucidate the structures of most members of the cannabinoid group of compounds in the cannabis plant. 28 years after discovering THC in 1992, Dr. McCollum, along with Dr. William Devane and Dr. Lemire Haynes, identified the brain's first endogenous cannabinoid, or endocannabinoid, basically the brain's natural version of THC, which they named anandamide, okay, from the Sanskrit word ananda, which means eternal bliss or supreme joy. So, okay, you have these Jewish thought leaders in the cannabis revolution almost 30 years ago discovered Delta-9 THC and said, this is what this is. And then the next thing they discovered is that the body, the brain, produces its own equivalent of THC, and they named it in respect to their heritage and their lineage from the Sanskrit word Ananda, which means eternal bliss or supreme joy. So basically what they're saying is the human body creates its own type of THC, and the human body is designed to take in THC, and this absolutely has spiritual, medical, and therapeutic treatment potential, and their research helped bring to market Marinol. So you cannot argue with that reality. THC is meant to be in the body. THC is manufactured by the body. Your brain uses THC and breaks it down to heal you and treat you against a variety of diseases. So that article is from Jewish Business News under the headline, New Study, Cannabinoids Protect the Brain and Heart from Injury by Alan Galandas. Okay, so according to the real Jews in Israel, he is totally wrong. And I'm speaking about Mel Sembler here. And let's see how he compares to what the people and government want in Italy, where he was an ambassador serving our nation. Yeah, it doesn't look good for Melvin over there in Italy either. Whoops. You see, Italy's constitutional court has overturned a controversial law equating cannabis with cocaine and heroin. The decision could see around 10,000 people released from the country's overburdened jails. The court ruled the law was illegitimate without elaborating further. Let me give you some background history on good old Mel Sembler and his chairman of the board, a DuPont associate, Roger DuPont, MD, who served with Richard Nixon and was the very gentleman who reclassified cannabis in America. And the drug law policy that Mel Sembler rolled out in the Reagan era was rolled out to all of the United Nations. So if you're a member of the United Nations, and there's about 26 of them, you have to follow the drug law that Mel Sembler and his buddy Roger DuPont, the patent holder for drug test kits, the patent holder for seeing if you have THC in your body, the patent holder that profits when 500 million people have to get a job working not just for the U.S. government, but for any of these United Nations government, basically the whole world. The most developed nations, if you want to go work for the government, you can't be a weed user. Now, why would they do that? Number one, money. And the other reason is so that they have the stupidest, most brainwashable sheeple to boss around and program. because that's the truth. That's our own government says and declared in a document that cannabis is public enemy number one because it defeats MK Ultra mind control programming. Wake the funk up, America. You can't work for the government if you use cannabis. Why? Because they want only the stupidest people in government. They don't want people who think for themselves, who have a open pineal gland, which can receive cosmic energy in the form of love, the source of all that is good in the universe. They don't want you to be one of those people. They want you to be a robot, want you to be a sheep, want you to be someone who doesn't think, only does what the person above them says. Shit rolls downhill, and you people are drowning in it. Okay, so this guy isn't doing what the other Jews are doing. He isn't doing what Italy is doing. What is he doing? He's screwing you, Florida. That's what he's doing, because that's what Mel Sembler is best at. The law passed by former Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi in 2006 has been blamed for Italy's swelling prison population as sentences for selling, growing, or possessing marijuana effectively tripled. Official data shows that Italian prisons are operating beyond capacity, with 62,000 inmates residing in facilities meant to house a maximum of 48,000. The prisoners' rights group Antigone claims that 40% of all inmates are currently serving sentences for drug crimes. Following Friday's verdict, the previous drug law and its far more lenient sentencing regime automatically takes effect. Opinions on the issue clearly cut down party lines in the country's centrist coalition government. Senator Carlo Giovanardi, one of the architects of the tough law, said the ruling was a devastating choice from a scientific viewpoint, and in the message it sends to young people that some drugs are less dangerous than others. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Cannabis is not a drug, and it's much safer than all the crap you're trying to sell and poison the people with. So when you're following a law rolled out by the UN, which is designed to keep people from using cannabis and put people in prison who use it, what do? You break down society, and the free thinkers, the spiritual people, the brave people, the warriors, my brothers and sisters who choose to use cannabis as proclaimed by God in every major religion. It's written, God created grass, the herb-yielding seed. Smoke it, drink it, eat it, stay connected to me. What do they want to do? They want to disconnect you from your spiritual path so that you're weak and afraid, and to put the fear in you. They rolled these draconian laws out, and in America alone, 675,000 people are incarcerated for cannabis and ass-backwards drug laws. So wake the funk up, people. That's the truth. So if you're an alcoholic or addicted to pain pills like Oxycontin, which is made from opium, the legal version of heroin, then you're okay in Mel's book. But if you want to use a plant labeled as holy and integral to mankind's health system by his Jewish brothers and just straight up made legal in Italy, then you are the enemy. The enemy of crooks like Melvin Sembler's pocketbooks, which is exactly why you need to wake the funk up, America. Who's a doctor who's stating that cannabis has medical benefits? Sanjay Gupta, that's who. Let's show the photo of Sanjay Gupta. Sanjay Gupta did the Weed series, a two-part documentary that aired on CNN. And here's what Sanjay Gupta has to say about cannabis. Leading medical authority on the planet. Every 19 minutes, somebody dies of a prescription drug overdose. It doesn't happen with marijuana. Thank you, brother. Who's his friend who also crossed the line and is now advocating cannabis? Oh, Dr. Oz, another prominent doctor, is saying that the laws against cannabis is kind of like a communist conspiracy. That's what he said. So wake the funk up, Florida, and vote yes on 2 on November 4th, because you support safe, natural, and effective medicine that saves lives and doesn't kill one person every 19 minutes like prescription medicine, the kind of which Mel Sembler and his political puppets are pimping on the streets. Don't believe me? Look no farther than who he paid to put in office, Governor Rick Scott, Republican, funded by Mel Sembler, who was in there before. Oh, someone else with a tie to the medical and pharmaceutical industries, Jeb Bush, Come on, man. How plain does it have to be? How written out in front of you does it have to be, America, before you see the truth? Why don't you put your Oxycontin and your Anheuser push down and smoke a little weed and see the light? Be part of the THC revolution, truth, history, consciousness that is sweeping across America. This show is brought to you by the Witch's Brew of Palm Harbor, Florida, cafe and eatery. If you want to go to a place, get a cup of coffee or get some healthy food made with love, go by and tell her the captain sent you and pick up the Chronic Smoothie, a health elixir, or get some hemp cookies or hemp brownies, or catch a live local band, or go there on a Friday and join a drum circle. Do all the things that you're supposed to do in your community. Don't go to Starbucks, which spends millions of dollars every year trying to keep cannabis illegal. Can't do anything in a Starbucks. Sit there and drink a $7 cup of coffee. Go to the Witch's Brew, and for the same amount of money, get food and coffee and actually communicate and talk to real people. That's the Witch's Brew in Palm Harbor, Florida. And if you're in Madeira Beach, go by the Purple Haze Tobacco Shop and Lifestyle Store and tell them that the captain sent you. You can pick up everything from water pipes to vaporizer, pens, and lifestyle products. So tell the Purple Haze that the captain sent you. And again, the Captain Cannabis Show is a weekly show that airs every Sunday at 4:20 at talkwadstudios.com. If you have a message to bring to the people, check out talkwadstudios.com and inquire about having your own show. They're crazy enough to let me, Captain Cannabis, do it. They're probably going to let you do it too. Depends what it's about. My show is 18 and up, and our motto is very simple. Tell the truth, tell the history, and allow that to soak in and affect the people's consciousness. I'll see you next Sunday at 4:20 with more awesome headlines. And America, tune in so you can know what's happening in the news.
This program was brought to you by the Internet Broadcasting Organization, setting the standard for new media broadcasting.